Hello and welcome to the Ground Up podcast. We are on episode 39. Today's date is the 10th of January. It's a Friday and we've got no Ryan.
I think the bigger the government gets, generally speaking, the more to the left it moves.
If they're a left-wing politician, there is no repercussions to their mistake. They can make a terrible product. They're putting out to market people like us who go and build products, and if we don't make a good product, we go out of business. Where the government, there is no repercussions.
One big thing with this Truss is after her announcement is obviously the market's reaction, and the backlash was obviously so severe where she had to step down.
I hear this a lot online from anti-landlord ismers, and they always say it's wrong, it's morally wrong for us to own property and for a tenant to pay our mortgage, and on the back of that we're getting wealthy off the debt.
I think the argument should be the landlords that are exploiting the market space, and when landlords take the piss and don't reinvest capital into the asset or manage it well or create a nice environment, and that's the issue in market spaces between the service and a necessity.
Ground up sound. Ooh, yeah. Real estate deals. We lay them down. Let's get those deals. Deals. Deals making money, baby.
So thanks to Jack, he's managed to set us up on StreamView, which is what we use, to StreamYard. And,
StreamView.
StreamView, yeah, the wrong type of view. I don't use that. Anyway, good morning,
This is
everyone.
already going south, guys.
Oh,
I know.
shit. It sounds
Why
like
you
my mum
so-
introed that. I've got the Google up.
Yeah,
It wasn't
StreamView.
doing this a minute
Booted
ago.
up my machine, and we are ready to.
I've actually got a funny
Anyway.
story about
Not
technophones.
StreamView.
I lent my mum my Tesla while I was in USA, and she just called me. She's just out of the blue called me as casual as like, and she went, "Your car's locked with the keys in it." I was like, "It's a bit of a weird way to present it. What have you done?" And she was like, "Well, I left the keys in it and shut it, and then it locks." And I was like, "I specifically said don't leave the keys in it because you've only got one set, and I'm in America." She was like, "Yeah, well, I didn't know it was going to lock," and I was like, "I did tell you to not leave the keys in it." And anyway, because Tesla's so amazing, on the app I can pretty much drive it. So I unlocked it and off we go. But anyway, it was the car's fault for locking the keys in the car.
Of course it was.
I had just if we're sharing very quick funny stories about parents. I was once at an airport and my flight got cancelled. My connecting transfers got cancelled, i.e. I became stranded, and obviously the only way to get out of it in that situation is by either waiting or paying a lot of money. So I texted my mum and I said, "No, just a heads up, I'm there's this, I can't remember what happened anyway, but ultimately there's a huge, it was a big thing," and she just responded back just saying, "Okay." So I was like, I guess I am officially an adult now then, so just
Deal with it.
deal with it, yeah.
Cool. Well, we haven't actually got the agenda. Ryan had the agenda, so we've just got a few things we're going to talk about until hopefully he joins. He's had the link sent through on our WhatsApp group. Just quickly before we start, Ground Up Network. D, how did it go with the guys? You've done sort of our first sort of Q&A session with the guys who have joined up on the Deal Analyzer, I believe, this week.
Yeah, it was good fun. And if anybody joins the network, it has been recorded, so you could catch back up on it. It was initially for an hour slot. I had to shoot after the hour because I had a back-to-back meeting. I think Ryan stayed on, and you joined as well, Stu, didn't you, on that post-hour? And I think you stayed on for another half an hour. But lots of questions, lots of engagement, and some really detailed questions, some guidance. And it was. We were just giving real, honest feedback on the spot. We had no prep other than maybe a basic question, but there was also a slot for people just to come on with questions they had there and then. And they would just present something. I think you even looked at a deal, didn't you? Is that right?
I think so. I think we were saying that the plan will be is that over time, I think twice a month, Jack and I, or you and I, will sit down with people. They better use a template that we've made, which will have, hopefully be Ground Up branded, but effectively some key points that we need to know. And then we can sit and deep dive into like a 20-minute session with someone who's a member, talk through a deal, even if it's something that they're close to buying or would love to buy, and just want to understand the parameters about what things we look for. Because it's interesting to see what we look for and what makes the deal look attractive. It's also equally important to know about the things that are red flags. So we just go, wouldn't do this deal because, and having those sort of 20-minute sessions with everyone on board. And it's just a real good, intense way of learning how to sort of weed out the deals that just aren't going to give you the returns you expect. So that's sort of what something we want to do at least once a month, possibly twice a month. And then I think the Q&A sessions are going to be alternate between two of
Yeah.
us at least.
So the
just
Q&A
due to people's
sessions are
diaries.
Monday, following week Wednesday, following week Monday, following week Wednesday. So
Every
4
other.
times a month, every week.
Yeah,
Lovely.
and again, this really isn't a sales pitch, but honestly, if anybody's listening to this for the cost of it, I mean, it is so small for the value you get. It really is a no brainer just to be a part of it.
It was nice
Yeah.
just to actually talk to. I mean, it was only quite short. I just jumped on ad hoc once the kids were in the bath, and I could keep an eye on them and sort of listen to what was going on. It was just nice to speak to some of the listeners, really, and just to get an idea of what they're into, what they're looking to get out of property development. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's really good. I'm looking forward to growing it now, and Rye's doing a great job with Sean and.
It's
who's the other
probably
guy?
worthwhile actually explaining out there to anyone that is in the network or
Matt.
not in the network yet. We have ads out, and obviously the ads are just for a deal analyzer. But as part of the deal analyzer, you will come into the community. So the real product here or thing that you could benefit from, which is like the sort of hive minding in the community that we're building, is a school database that we've built. We've recorded loads of pre-recorded videos of what we do, how we've grown and scaled our businesses from nothing to where they are today, and you can sort of dive into that and just go to your heart's content, but learn alongside others too.
And I think one thing I want to say as well, because I get people asking me this, and I know sometimes it's cringy looking at ads, deal analyzer for $19.99. Anybody who's experienced in the sector, they cringe at them too. But the reason why we're doing that is just basic fundamentals. We want to expose the platform to as many relevant, connected people as possible. So to do that, in addition to growing this channel organically, to fast track that, we pay for ads. And the more targeted the ads, i.e., property developers, people interested in property investment, people interested in construction, the platforms, the social platforms, charge for that quite a bit. And so if we didn't have a way to recoup that, then it would just become quite a drain. So the whole fundamental of it is you get a very valuable resource for such a small cost, and multiple resources. I think there's 4 different key templates in there. So again, it's just worth having it anyway. And then for us, it hopefully covers the cost, so we can just keep expanding it and scaling it to as many people as possible, which will come into the community and then have a better community impact. So yeah, it's that's the plan. It's going quite well. There's already, I think, over 100 people plus in the deal analyzer one, and then there's a lot of them are moving into the ground up network community as well. So it's good.
I think when we get to a certain size, I'm looking forward to doing the day events. We've talked about doing like a boat trip down the Thames and getting some of the members in, and if once we've got enough members and we can sort of cover costs, then it'd be just great to be with people. There's loads of little things we want to do to try and see as many people as possible. But anyway, it's going well. Let's keep you up to date with that. A few things I wanted to talk to you about, boys, is that apparently there's a new regulation with keys. Now, keys are an absolute pain in the bum for people who've got sort of, 50 odd rooms, 100 rooms. How are you guys coping with, or Jack, how are you coping with all these different keys? Because apparently I used to have a skeleton key and I've done 2 developments with a skeleton key. And apparently due to, I think it's Q, I think it's part Q, they've changed it now to do with security. So now, is there any other ways that you would manage a load of HMOs? You like to do the locks, don't you, on the doors rather than keys?
I mean, they are an absolute nightmare, and I actually hate the like development part of a development because we always seem to lose keys. Like the other
asset
day,
management bit.
the other day we're there's an asset that we're buying, and we've got a set of keys, and they're not technically ours, and we couldn't locate them, and someone was due to go on site, and they're a nightmare. So First and foremost, every time we buy a site, the first thing we do is put in a police grade lockbox on site for the entrance key. So just like one door key that can get you in, and the only door key that can get you in is then fixed to the site, and that stays there pre-purchase, delivery, and post-purchase, and that's just like post-delivery. So it's just a continuous lockbox that's there. We've actually now got to the stage where we're replacing lockboxes because they've been on our sites for 7 years and they actually just don't work anymore. So they do have a lifespan.
I'm rusty.
So that's phase number 1. We have a very heavy duty key box that can take about 400 keys in Abingdon. in one of our sites, obviously won't allude to which one it is, but in one of our sites, we've got an element of the site which is an office space, and we've got it in there. So anyone, whether it's maintenance, service, builder, estate manager, marketing girl, whoever it may be, can actually get into that office with a lockbox, and then there's a key code to get into the locker, and then all of the keys are coded so that they're all to the various different properties. In our HMOs, we fit they're actually ASSA battery powered, non network powered, so non Wi-Fi powered, key coded handles on all of the bedrooms in the HMOs. The beauty of those is everyone has their own, they set their own code as if it's their phone login as a tenant. We have a cleaner's code, and then we have a landlord code. So if someone forgets their code, we can actually give them a one-time use code, and then they can set their own code just over the phone. And that was a game changer, because we used to go all the way out to Abingdon. We actually had a Grade 2 listed building. We fitted key coded handle door locks, and the amount of times my brother had to go out there just to let someone in their room, and that is super painful. That was pre-hiring anyone in the team, which was 2 of us. It was really, really inefficient. That's just 2 hours back in your day. It's worth spending the money on a key coded handle. If you do have to fit key handle doors for whatever reason, very unlikely you will have to. But we then put another lockbox inside the house with all the room keys inside that lockbox with a code, so that if anything happens, you can give them that code. The tenant can walk down the stairs to, normally in like the utility cupboard or electrical box cupboard, and access the key code there and get their own key for their own room. Obviously, it's not ideal because they get access to every room, or you could send someone around that's more local. And that's it. But and that's pretty much how we keep all of our site keys. So lockbox. We also have a lockbox in Henley, in our office in Henley, that has there's a secure lockbox that's a spare key for each site. So if because all the time I'd get to site and a contractor's taking the key home, and then you're like, brilliant, okay, thanks for that. And then you need
That's why I've got one here on my desk that's been delivered by my cleaner, who has just taken this from another site. It's just an absolute nightmare. And having actually a design built in where you've got every key on site is what she's now asked for. So we're just going to build that into design and keep them all. I was thinking about the safety and security of them, but if we've got it behind another locked door and then in there.
So I believe from a security perspective, you need it to be obviously inside your office or another building. It needs to then be in a lockable safe, and I'd recommend that be a coded safe rather than a key safe, because there's a problem with the key again. And then it can't be like worded to where the address it is. So, for an example, we've got a property on 8 Edward Street. We can't write 8 Edward Street on the key code. We have to write a code, and then that code has to reflect something in our Google Drive that we know, or 1Passwords or whatever it is.
And do you know the safe or lockbox itself? Does it have to be like for what we do is different, because we're client and selling them. But do they have to be like the product itself has to be secure by design?
Front door and then the main door.
There'd be like an accreditation on it. It has to be secure by design.
Yeah, completely. I mean, that's why we get police grade lockboxes, because you'll actually find if you just buy, I can't remember what I think it's called a
Lockmaster.
Lock. That's it, Master Lock. If you get like a Master Lock lockbox, they're not actually police grade, and it's because they are. It's basically a dial that's spinning until you get the right code. But the police grade ones, when we punch it, and then you can't actually detect, because they're actually quite easy to hack, the master lock ones. I know, because at school we had lockers and we used to break into each other's lockers, and you only need to like find the sensitivity point of where the thread goes through to actually hack them. But we also stay fairly creative. So for an example, the site that I mentioned that we haven't bought yet, that we've got a set of keys for, which is all pre-agreed and all fine. We don't want to fit a lockbox to site because it's not our site. So what we've actually agreed to do is we've left it in the estate agents opposite the building. so that if anyone needs a key, they go into the estate agents and then can get a key to the building that's not ours. Because we're not at the stage yet where we can do what we need to do. But literally every single site we do, the first thing we do is fit a lockbox, because you don't want to be turning up there every day just for a surveyor or whatever it may be. It is a bit of a pain in the arse sometimes. Yesterday, I primed my builder to be on site for a glazing company who were coming to talk about the subframe for secondary glazing. And I said to the glazing company, my builder's going to meet you there at 9. There's a lockbox on site. Here's the code. And they turned up the day before because there's a lockbox, did all of their measurements and then buggered off. And I was like, well, the point I got my builder to meet you there is so that you could discuss what subframe he needs to fit.
Yeah,
But
he was driving by.
So that's part of the issue. People just rock up and get in and out. But, at least it's done.
It's all well and good having a lockbox, but the amount of times I've had someone turn up and go, there's no key in the lockbox. And you're like, for fuck's sake, who's taken that? Where was the last person? And just trying to track all the movements in and out of HMOs
Yeah.
are great. I mean, the Asda thing, just quickly before we move on, one more thing to talk about, which is a refi on a HMO. I'm just doing now. But the Asda lock, you said it's not battery, it's not powered, it's not electric, it's manually. How do you then?
Yeah.
It's battery. So then what do you do?
Yeah.
Does it warn you? Does it start beeping? Does it?
Yeah.
Do you have to teach the tenant how to
Yeah.
change the battery?
You have to change the batteries literally once every 3 years. That is super
dependency
irregular.
changeover.
And it does. It like chimes, and then a tenant tells us that one of the handles in the house is chiming, and then we just get the cleaner to swap out the batteries. We found that there's the issue with the issue with Wi-Fi ones is your Wi-Fi might go down, and then no one can get into their rooms. The issue with I don't actually know how other ones work, whether they're we don't really. The reason we like those ones is they're quite trendy. So it makes a tune when you go into your room. It lights up rather than it being manual clunky one. We quite like the digital aspect.
They look nice.
Selling point. Yeah, they're cool. They're really cool.
It's just adding another layer of maintenance. But I suppose if you're doing the emergency lighting test, you just build it into your changeover.
Where it also looks really slick is in a HMO you have to have thumb turn locks on each accessible room, because obviously if there's a case of a fire, you don't want a tenant trying to find a key. And that's fire regulations for a tenant to get out. And where these look super slick is internally they always open. There's no lockable fence internally. So the inside handle, if you can open it, will open. So it looks super slick because you don't need a locking mechanism actually on the door. So there's no other door furniture other than just the handle.
Yeah, lovely. And make sure you also get your stickers as well. Make sure that the tenants know what the hell they got to wear. But there's dangers.
I think that's a construction sticker.
It's my fuse boxes. I've got the little ones now, but I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I'll stick them up in the office maybe.
Put them on your van.
We had a phone call yesterday. Was it yesterday? Beginning of the week. There's a water leak. Tenants are so funny, man. So we're rushing around. And the reason I was talking about key boxes and the reason this is here is the cleaner's been over, and it turns out it was a shadow. So they've taken a picture of a shadow of the cove-in line between the ceiling and the cove-in and gone, it's leaking. And we turn up, I've gone, it's a fucking shadow. On top of the tenants, anything in the communal area, you can't claim back for your time, but ultimately you've got to fix. And when you've got a tenant saying that they can't get the nozzle off the Hoover, you're sending over your staff at the end of the day, beginning of the day, to pull nozzles off of a Hoover because they just don't understand how to do it. It is funny. But quickly on the HMO, so yesterday I got an agreed cost for 2025-2026 with our students in Guildford. They just agreed within 2 days of marketing £4,000 a month, which is really good. It's a 5-bed HMO. So the first one I've done actually after pre-COVID, it refinanced about 575, and now if we can get £4,000 a month, that's about 48 grand a year coming in, and on a 7% yield, that value should be around 686,000. Which by the time we've refinanced it, taking a hit on the income every month, because obviously it cash flows quite well now, I'll still be getting about 144 grand. About 14 grand a year in income, but it'll put about 151 grand in my pocket, which is amazing. And it's tax free because it's debt. So we're increasing our debt position, but freeing up more capital to use for future developments. So it is worth the hassle dealing with a few keys here and there, because I've had to do nothing on that property. It's cash flow positively. And because it's a student HMO, there is no council tax to pay. There is no electricity, gas. Even though it's a HMO with all en suites, we still do one AST to a group of 5 people who live there together. And you just basically hand them the building. They do all their bills. So it literally is property income minus minus the buildings insurance, minus the mortgage, and the rest is yours. So yeah, it's well worth putting up with a few
Do
key
you take
issues.
guarantors with students, or
Yeah,
do you?
all
Yeah.
guarantored by their parents, basically. So they'll all guarantor the debt. And obviously, if one or two move out, it's down to them to try and find someone else. And then you're not
Yeah.
dealing with individual rooms. It's almost like it's a hybrid between a full buy to let, but
Yeah.
you're charging out the room.
I suppose
So yeah.
if we stay on the topic of like portfolio management a second for those listening as well, how do you guys do it? If like, what kind of systems or way do you track it from, I suppose, the start to finish then? So how do you guys, uh, if like we talked about maintenance there, does your maintenance come through via just phone calls, or do you guys have like some form of lettings management system as a maintenance system that you direct all tenants that they have to raise things through there, like via tickets or something that comes through? Or is it all via phone calls manually? How do you do it?
Yeah.
We use WhatsApp, so we've just got a WhatsApp per project, and then depending on the letting agent and the office staff who are responsible for that, we've got a new hire that starts in 3
So
weeks. And she's
you
been
use an
interviewed.
agent for all properties, do you? You have a letting agent for all properties.
We use an agent at a reduced price who does the tenant find and the rent collect, and then and they are the buffer between the tenant and us. So they'll basically report a problem to the agency. The agency will send it on our WhatsApp group. Then we'll take care of it. We've actually got direct contact links now between our trades that we support. We like to use and our lettings agents. So they'll just basically reach out to them and then put the report on the WhatsApp so we know what's going on. And if there's an emergency, they'll put it on the WhatsApp, and then it takes a lot of our time up. To be honest, Meg in the office is drowning a bit in just the little things that come up that need attention. It's just all the gas safe certificates, all the Part Ps, all the PAS certificate, everything that happens yearly. Every time you add another HMO, it's all fun and games, but you're adding a lot more workload on the back office. So we've got a new hire that starts who's going to be 50% asset management role. You probably use something a bit more fancy than that, Jack, with your lettings company.
Yeah. In Central Suites, we just use Coho, and Coho is like a full end-to-end solution. So from the step of advertising a room, setting up a project, advertising the room, all the way through to actually letting it, pulling the contracts together. Contracts go out to tenant. Tenant then has an online platform to log maintenance issues, and they then can send a photo and log a maintenance item. And then we have a weekly maintenance team meeting, which I'm not in. And then those things get distributed out to the maintenance teams, and they then log it on the same platform. So the maintenance people are also going into the logged maintenance issue, can see tenants' comments, landlord comments, fixing the problem, and then closing the case. So yeah, we just rely on tech that's been made, basically.
Lovely.
Fair enough. All right, cool, nice. Sounds good.
Anything
And
about
then
HMOs all right?
do you manage the financial management through that system as well? So
No,
it's
payment.
different,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, so we use PayProp, which is, it costs us probably 500 quid a month. But the amount of time it saves for reconciliation, chasing tenants. So PayProp is you set up. PayProp's really, really comprehensive, actually. So you have all of your tenants' contact details, email, phone numbers. They know, and you set up a schedule for what they're paying per month. You can also log their deposits through PayProp, but obviously it goes to custodial holding. The PayProp then is basically a human to some degree. It sends out the invoice, it chases the payment, and it sends it out via email and text. They can pay it via the link on the email or text. It then notifies you if they have or haven't paid. It then chases them if they haven't, and notifies you consistently of all outstanding debtors. And then essentially it builds all of the incomes associated with that particular property. So you have chunks of pools of capital in the PayProp platform. It then draws up a monthly management report, including maintenance fees that have also been allocated to that particular property, so that when you get your net income, all of the associated running costs, including cleaning and maintenance, have already been deducted, and then it produces a report. So there's, for an example, Central Suites manages some blocks for XP. We then produce that report, which automatically is automated to go to XP's accounts team every month to show net income and room rates associated with that particular property.
And two quick questions on that. So if you set a project up in Coho, does it automatically transfer the relevant property and tenant data to PayProp? Would you have to set it up again in PayProp? They don't talk.
They don't integrate, no.
They don't talk. Okay.
Yeah,
And
but they are fairly standalone. I mean, the only thing that's duplicated is the room rates. That's it. Everything else is we see it as management
tenant
payments.
details or something, yeah.
Yeah.
And what about PayProp with like the accounting software like Xero and Sage or QuickBooks? Stuff
Yeah,
like that?
so it does integrate into Xero. We actually just send a report to our bookkeeper, so that report automatically goes to a bookkeeper, and our bookkeeper does our monthly management accounts in the company and our P&Ls per property, so then we see that in our management accounts.
Because you guys, it comes on to another question, unless you've got anything to add on this, Stu, is that when you were just talking there, I was just like linking them because we see that as well. It's like there's a big talk about digitalization, AI revolution, and systems and all that sort of stuff. But what we find as well is that at the minute there's these systems out there that are like really good for an aspect of something, and then you use a different system that's really good for another aspect of what you're doing. Whether it's portfolio management, asset management, or like construction, you find the same things. Like Procore is really good at something, but not very good at anything else, and you have a different software for that. And then when it comes then back down to full automation, there's no way to really connect them, or then you start going really advanced into try doing something with like Zapier, where you build in a very bespoke tool. So like if you do, so for example with Koa, it'd be like if you set up a project on here and a new tenant, and then this is the rent and this is the rate, Zapier will automatically set it up for you on PayProp. And then have any of you dabbled with like really advanced stuff like that to try to automate the entire cycle, or do you find that it's beneficial to keep the manual gaps in as also sense checks?
We've actually found no matter how smart you get with technology, it ends up needing as much time to help it run than just actually running it off an Excel and using the various different platforms. There isn't a one size fits all. I was actually speaking to, while I was in the States at the New Year's Eve party I was at, the guy, the house I was at, he works for a fintech mobile app banking sort of thing. He's always worked in apps, and he's building his own construction app for the one man band John the Plumber that goes around the property to have like a one size fits all. So it hosts all his quotation work, all of his invoicing work, all of his P&L, all of that sort of thing. And I was chatting to him about it because we just can't find anything comprehensive enough that actually works bespoke. It's you're constantly trying to fit something that is super smart into a different format, into a different space, into a different running operation. So we've never really found that works. We've actually in Central Suites been working off Mondays.com, which has actually been pretty slick. So if you set up a project in Mondays.com, it already allocates a digital twin in Google Drive, creates a spreadsheet, already gets all of that. So we are starting to make like prerequisite automation across our stuff in Mondays.com. But yeah, we've not found a one size fits all solution that you're referring to. But the nearest thing we have to it is Mondays.com integrated with Google Drive.
I think it's Monday, mate. I don't think it's Mondays.
All right. Okay. Sorry.
It's Monday.
Jack
After the
just loves
fifth time of
Mondays.
saying it, I was like, I got to correct it. He corrects me enough. But yeah, no, Monday.com is what we're building up with this new person. This new person who's joining us. They're going to basically build we put the infrastructure together.
What day they starting?
I think they're starting on Mondays. I think. Anyway, yeah, D. Yeah, I think as an entrepreneur, I think the skill of running a business is the gaps between what AI can't do. I think we do exactly that. We use software for the big chunks that can manage it. But if you're going to keep playing around with your system, you expose yourself to so many risks and problems that can happen. I think when you're in a business and it's churning, you want to make minimum big changes unless you know it's going to work. And then it's just finding the time to sort of reinvent the wheel. If it's spinning, it's a lot easier to do little small tweaks and little trial and test by introducing new software than it is to just do a one shot fits all, because every business is run differently. And if you just try and put everything through one bit of software, this is impossible. I think AI can even take you so far. AI is quite reactive. It gives you a solution for something you've built.
What do you think
Go on.
about the AI bots now they're talking about, the agents they call them? They obviously we've got ChatGPT and similar, which are large language models, to scrape the entire internet, and
Mm.
you ask it a question, and through algorithms and it's learning, makes predictions and then spits out, a very good text, I would say now as well. But and you can have good conversations, and it is very, very useful. Better than a Google search, I would say, most of the time. And then, but the next step, because I don't know if any of you been like watching, like Nvidia's presentation, the upcoming tech presentations, and all that sort of stuff, as to like where the future's going. They what they said is in 2025 we can expect from like OpenAI and other AI companies is the introduction of AI agents, they call them, which is the next step from large language models, where it takes that and if you ask it a prompt, can predict, and it's getting more accurate. But then it's trying to integrate it into existing workflows of companies to stitch together those gaps of where at the minute a software does something, but then it requires someone manual to do something before the software can do something else. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's got to be the way that it's going. I mean, it's really interesting, and I think the question for any business owner that they need to be asking themselves from an operations perspective is does it actually improve the process? Because all the time I see businesses that have integrated something and it becomes more of
Destroys it.
yeah. So as an example, I ordered a staircase off Stairbox the other day. Well, it was a couple of weeks ago, and I was absolutely amazed with their service between making the purchase and it being delivered. It was like super slick. Obviously, tech integrated. I got a message saying order confirmation. I got a date there, and then I got a rough time estimation. And then every day leading up to that, it was asking me about access, and it was all automated. And then on the day, I got a message, and I could follow like a live link of the delivery driver, and it was amazing. And that is an example of for someone to be in the office with human error, sickness, maternity leave, all of that stuff. That process was flawless. But then, as another example, we got a window quote the other day, and a guy came out with a tablet. I was like, "That's pretty fancy. What's he doing here?" Because he was quoting up and measuring up on his tablet, and I could just see he was like jamming loads of like pre-made questions that weren't relevant to every job, because the way that he just hit no, yes was like pre-formatted so that it was completely, and so it was actually wasting his time using this than just actually measuring it up and drawing it on a bit of paper. And I was watching him like, fuck, if I watched my employee do that, I would just scrap it completely and start from scratch. And I think the like Elon Musk phrase where like if you need to be completely like continuously improving, continuously trying new things and enhancing, and also to the point where you remove so much from the business and strip it down that you need to add back things in, is a really good like
You need to
mantra.
remove more. You need to remove more than you implement. I think otherwise you just that
Yeah,
happens. You just
yeah. And
drains
I've
your
had,
resources.
I've actually got another example of this, which is quite interesting. A family friend of ours runs a turkey farm, and they've been running their turkey farm for probably 50, 60 years. And every year they do about 10,000 turkeys. They're like premium turkeys. The issue with any form of like seasonality business is you often have like bottlenecks because everyone wants imagine being in a business where everyone wants it on the same day, and it's just one day a year. Like that is an absolute operational logistical nightmare that you've got to orchestrate and have everything prepped in time. And then January, you're all sat doing nothing for 8 months. So, but the interesting thing is, I used to work at the turkey farm, and the actual distribution and the product line to get these turkeys out.
So you used to be a turkey farmer.
I used to work there, yeah.
Excellent.
When
Learn
I was
something new about you every day, JJ.
yeah. But the interesting thing is
Can you
watching
do a
that.
turkey call, Jack? That's why he got hired there, Stu. That's why
Yeah,
he got hired.
exactly.
He's the turkey herder.
So working at that farm various different years, it was interesting watching that. So they've been through I think they're on their like third generation of family that have set up the turkey farm. But every year they try something new because it's always just a shit show. It's always really difficult to get the production line to where it needs to be, and that's like plucking, defeathering, getting all the giblets out, boxing, then actually distributing it out to the customer. And all of that process has been tried out. Like option A is like they do all of the plucking in one day and then they come back the following week and then do all of the cutting. Option B is they wait for the customers to come in and then just do one turkey bespoke. So it's batch production and, you know, all of those different areas of production you would have learned in if you did a business degree, for example. But they've never actually found the best solution. They're always like, all of them are terrible, because the issue is people all want their stuff on the same day. So we've just got to make good of what we want. And the principle is trying different things. And some years they're probably less efficient and they made less margin. But then the following year, they know that they've tried that and have realised, you know, the end result. And I often think that trial and error is like sometimes the best way to go.
You got to fail fast.
That was a really long story, wasn't it? And all of that I've got out of the back of that is a turkey impression that's going to be shorted and put all over the social media channels. So
yeah, that's going to be the cut out of that. Yeah, that's going to be flying on people's feeds in a week from now.
Guys, another one. The 30-year guilt this year. Let's move on.
I just imagine it coming on TikTok now. Just people scrolling, listening to, like, you know, VCs with important stuff. Well, that's not really on TikTok, but you know what I'm saying. Next slide.
Let me bring up a slide. I was reading. I watched this fantastic podcast yesterday. It came out last night. A guy called Peter McCormack and Liz Truss was on there. And I've got a video. Oh, he's awake. He's just WhatsApped. I don't know if he's going to join us or not. I'm going to try and play this quickly because it's only 55 seconds long. If it doesn't work, then I'm sure the guys will sort it out. But
is it the one that you put in the group? I can give it a try.
Yeah, I've got it loaded on here. There's two I found that I just thought would be quite interesting to play. Slides and PDF, present, share screen. Here we go. Let's see if I can open that. I've got so many bloody tabs open. Entire screen, that'll do. Just cut off anything that's not. Can you see that?
Yeah, it's working. Oh, bit of inception.
It's working. There we go. Let me see if I can play this and then
You
they can play it up.
Make it full screen. Can't hear any volume either.
There we go.
Can you hear volume? I can't hear any volume.
You can't?
No.
For fuck's sake. This is why Rye does it.
What we can do is just actually, Sean can put it in.
Do you think it's just organic? It's this organic slide to the left?
I think the bigger the government gets, generally speaking, the more to the left it moves. And there's a thing called O'Sullivan's Law.
Yeah, you talked
about
it in the
unless
book.
an organisation's explicitly right-wing, it becomes left-wing over time. And you can see that because people working in government are completely insulated from the facts of life. Like, if you don't sell a product that people want to buy, you go out of business. They're insulated from that. They can keep producing terrible products and they don't go out of business because they've always got a job. So they're insulated from the facts of life, which is what makes it easier to be left-wing if you're in a public sector organisation or where you work for the BBC, because you get the BBC poll tax anyway, regardless of how much people want to watch your content.
Yeah, so Liz Truss there, as you heard, she basically is saying that the bigger the governments get, the more left-wing they become. And you can see that in just the current government and the way that things are running. Unless they're predetermined to be far right, if they're a left-wing politician, there is no repercussions to their mistakes. So like we said on this podcast many times, is that if they haven't run a business or understand how to run a business, they can continue to make a terrible product that they're putting out to market. And people like us who go and build products, and if we don't make a good product, we go out of business. Where the government, there is no repercussions, and I think that just shows that, like she obviously mentioned there about the BBC, if the BBC put out crap content, there's no repercussions because they're just constantly getting paid. It was just really good to see what she was. That was just a clip really of one of the things I wanted to point out. But a few other notes I made from watching it was that the government actually have no control over the chief of police, the Bank of England, the judiciary system, like all these things that have massive repercussions on the way that we live our lives. The government actually have no control. And if they've got no control, do we really live in a democracy that we can control? I was wanting to see what Rye thought about it, but maybe we'll touch on it next week once he's had a chance to watch it.
Well,
But yeah,
we
it's
know which rabbit hole will go down there when. But in terms, but the politics stage is quite interesting. Have you guys obviously seen? I don't know if it's true, but apparently the cease and desist from Liz Truss to Keir Starmer for to stop saying that she crashed the economy, and I think that's probably where some of that's coming from. Is what probably her argument is that she had a good idea, but then
they culled it.
then other
She was a
others.
sacrificial. She was a sacrificial lamb, mate. She got absolutely put to the fucking slaughterhouse. Got killed within 40 days or whatever. But actually, as a person, it's so nice to hear these politicians on these podcasts who have no real agenda. You sort of read them for who they are, and yeah, it's a shame that she got kicked out so quickly. I think by
If you ever
watching
go
it, but
into number 10, number 10 down the street, there's a staircase. And when you go up the staircase, it's got portraits of all the past prime ministers, and they're serving the time served. And when I was when I was walking up the stairs, it was from really historic all the way up, and then I come to Liz Truss's. She just had like a month there. It was just a bit brutal, really.
Surreal.
Don't you get paid like $100,000 a year every year
Forever.
after service as prime minister? I interestingly watched this like hilarious reel where someone's doctored two clips of Liz Truss. One is where she's in the Houses of Parliament like pitching and going, "I will never give up," and then the next clip is, "I will be resigning."
Yeah,
Yeah.
boys, if you've not watched it, definitely watch it. Yes, they do talk about the money system and how she believes Bitcoin could be the future and should be effectively. And she also talks about how bad, she talks about the US and about the deep state over in the US. And she actually says that now she's been in the highest seat that you can be elected, obviously prime minister. She's seen behind the scenes and she's like, we're 20 times worse here. So it is a huge problem. Obviously, they call it the blobs rather than the deep state here. And the civil service, all these civil roles that we have no unelected positions that we can control are making
But
these massive decisions which are having a huge effect. It goes back through the Blair era. It goes back through all these decisions they've made to date. It's well worth a watch. It's an hour and a half. But
what do you guys think of the Elon Musk and the influence through X on British politics? What do you guys reckon?
well, she come out
And
and said that about Tony
the-
Robinson. Is Tony Robinson? No. What's his name? The guy who's in Tommy. Yeah. I mean, obviously, Peter talked about him and said, look, for the last few years, I've sort of ignored him, thinking he was this crazy right wing, right wing crazy nut. However, it sounds like he has been politically treated in a bad way. They're trying to silence him, and obviously she didn't disagree to that, to say that because we've got no control over the judiciary system, that is what is happening to try and cut this stuff out. So it's actually, with all the gang rapes and stuff that's been hidden over that's come out this week. I'm not trying to be into politics, but I just think it's quite interesting that all this stuff behind the scenes that everyone's sort of starting to think about, cracks are appearing, and using podcasts and being able to talk and share what people are thinking about this stuff. Hopefully we'll go more to the way America's done it, because obviously the way that Trump and Elon Musk are dealing with a big movement. I think we need Trump to
he's
say how
come
it
out
is.
with some quite aggressive claims recently, renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, taking back
He's also telling
Buying,
Canada that they could
buying
be
Greenland.
the
51st state.
51st state. Yeah,
yeah.
he's brilliant. Yeah,
He's trying to do a
I think
2-for-1 deal, isn't he, on Greenland and Canada? Get the whole lot. Something needs to change, because we're going down a fucking bad spiral here, and we can all laugh a joke about it, but we all know that things are getting so expensive and it is almost uncontrollable. How is this going to look like in 10? We can't do anything till 2029 now, so we've got between now and 2029 for it to get a fuckload worse before it can be made better. So yeah, definitely worth a watch, I would say.
Yeah, and the market reaction, because obviously the one big thing with Liz Truss is, after her announcement, is obviously the market's reaction, and the backlash was obviously so severe where she had to step down. And
But if you can compare that now to the deal,
yeah, I was just going to say, yeah.
she also talked about the Town and Country Act. So the reason as well that was the other clip that I don't know how to play on it, to be honest. But yeah, she said about the Town and Country Planning Act in 1947, which was announced by, I think it was like the Yatley governance from memory. But the Town and Country Planning Act is what's effed us up. So in 1930, when they were building 300,000 homes a year, you know those 1930s semi-detached houses that you see everywhere before the Greenbelt was introduced. She was saying that the only way we can get to those numbers is to abolish that act, which was put in place, and that means that we can then obviously expand on Greenbelt or Greybelt and work on that, which is one thing she did agree with Starmer on. But yeah, I haven't read the act yet to work out how they would do that. But ultimately, that's something that would have a big impact on us as property developers. But yeah, the 30-year gild, if you look at it now, it's actually quite a lot substantially higher than when this trust was in because of the last budget. Was it 5.385, I think, on 30-year money, which is quite high, especially when they've got to refinance the money that they printed during COVID. So they have no choice now but to print money, which is a real big spiral, because if they print more money, inflation is inevitable, things get more expensive, and this problem just increases over time.
Yeah,
Bitcoin, baby.
Have you two started buying yet?
The answer to
$10 a month, $10 a month, all you
every
need.
of Stu's question is just Bitcoin, baby.
Everything leads to Bitcoin. Everything leads to Bitcoin. Everything leads to the thought and understanding of what it is, because there is
What
no
about love?
absolute.
There'll be some
Bitcoin
people
creates
watching
love.
this now, obviously very interested in Bitcoin. So Stuart, what is the lowdown? How come
The thing
it's
is
dropped recently?
when you're in a deflationary market, things become cheaper. If you look at in the old days, you've got these beautiful museums and these lovely, these works of art. When you've got an increasing market, everything gets cheaper and worse off. Everything looks shit. Sorry, what was your question, D? I was just going on a full process then. What's the Bitcoin market?
Yeah, I was
What's
just saying,
like?
why is it dropped recently? Yeah.
It's dropped at the moment. It's very much manipulated. If you look at the amount of Bitcoin that's available, there's about 30% of the 17 million that's available. There's 4 or 5 million that's been lost over the years just through people sending it to try and get people on. They've lost the codes. It's lost forever. So there's about 17 million Bitcoin. Out of that, there's about 70% of that hasn't moved in over a year. The 30% that is available is manipulated by people who may have bought it when it was a couple of quid, 100, 200, 500, who just want a few lifestyle chips off. A lot of people have held for 10 years going, when it's at 100 grand, I'm going to sell. And they've made an awful lot of money. But so there's that, which is at 100 grand. The thing is, the longer the base, the higher in space. So the longer we sit around 100 grand, the higher the point will come where you get to a point where it's exhaustion, where most people have bought or sold. And when people are buying in, like institutions and banks, and effectively, if you follow what's going on, you've got countries now that are going to start buying it. And it's this thing called the game theory, which once one country starts printing their own fiat currency and they start buying Bitcoin with it, it's game over. And when a currency fails, not that I'm saying the currency will fail, but there's a good chance it will, it erupts with volatility quite quickly, quite fast. It doesn't happen over 3 or 4 years. It'll happen over weeks or even months, where it will aggressively go high up. But they're talking about a god candle that could happen about 100 grand in one day, which as soon as the organization's coming up in 15 days time. If on day one, Trump frees Ross, which is the guy who set up Silk Road, which was just the designer, the developer, not the person breaking the law. He set the system up and went to prison. If he frees him, and if he sets up the Bitcoin strategy, which is a strategic thing to hold Bitcoin, or hold the 200,000 Bitcoin that America owns, then you're going to have all countries racing to the top. And when there's only 30% of the money, now I can't say from the Bitcoin I've got that if it went from 100 grand to 10 million that I'm not going to sell 1 or 2, which will then dilute to a new floor. And then that's how it's been spread over the last few years. People don't want to buy Bitcoin because it's too expensive. But the point at which you buy Bitcoin, it's only your own ego that stops you buying it. People go, it's too expensive. I want to buy 1%. I don't want to buy 1% of a Bitcoin. I could have bought a whole Bitcoin for 10 grand. Where if you just buy a small proportion and get on board, get off zero, then you already start benefiting from doing it, which is why I talk to most of my family and you guys and say, look, just buy £10 a month's worth. Just start watching the charts and watch what's going on, because your interest will grow just by starting. And I
think there's also an element of alternative investments, though. You say that there's one thing that stops people investing is ego, but I also think that the main reason that you obviously might invest in gold, Bitcoin, property, another business. Here he is.
Oh, good morning. Good morning.
Hey.
One sec, Rye. I just want to hear Jack's opinion on this. Keep going, mate.
Morning, mate.
Is obviously I'm used to it. Like I've made a strategic decision to invest in HMOs, for an example, or into my own business, for an example, and I can see the investment. I know that it's probably not the returns that you would be getting in Bitcoin. I know it doesn't have a strategic matter to it because it's a currency rather than an asset. But I get really, really high. Most of our HMOs are over 40% return on cash year on year, and they have been doing that performance. They don't fluctuate. They're an asset. They don't go down in value. That's 40% cash on cash, not even including capital appreciation or equity release. And I can keep growing that portfolio. Diversification is something where I'm like, cool, okay, that makes sense. And you diversify, and then the Bitcoin investment might overtake the HMO investment. But I went into Bitcoin quite early and invested in it, and it just got to a point where it was like up, down, can't really do anything with it, can't grow the portfolio of Bitcoin with the Bitcoin that's in the Bitcoin, other than it's going up in value, but you can't reinvest that because you've got to take it out to put it back in. So, and also I've always wanted to be a portfolio owner in the UK. So building that portfolio and building a portfolio where you have renters that are paying your mortgage and you can grow off the back of that is a very different asset type. And for that reason, the alternative is I love that. I love everything about it, like you love everything about Bitcoin. And I'm not arguing against it, because I agree with you.
No, I'm not arguing against owning property. I think that having a cash flowing asset that creates extra additional cash flow you wouldn't have without property, you're increasing your debt position, which is great, which is certain to go down in value, which means the asset goes up. So that's the best thing you can play in an insurance policy against Bitcoin not performing. And then you also create additional cash flow that you can pump into Bitcoin, which is on the other side. So it's not a bad property. I love property, and I think it's a great strategy. I'm just saying get off zero, because it doesn't matter whenever you said you bought Bitcoin and sold Bitcoin, it was going up and down. At any point in the last 16 years, happy birthday Bitcoin, it was 16 like on the 3rd of January.
Happy birthday Bitcoin.
Effectively, exactly. Any point in that history, in a 200-week moving average, no one's ever lost money. It's only the people who have a short horizon who listen to the noise of the volatility. Volatility is vitality. You need a volatility, like you need a heartbeat to go up and down, up and down, up and down. But in 16 years, that track has only gone up. And that power law, or the stock to flow ratio, however you want to look at it, is only going up, and it's only going up forever. It doesn't matter if you bought it for £1, £100, £100,000, or $1 million. It goes to zero and it becomes worthless. And if you believe in IT and digital technology and the way that everything's gone, or you believe in the future, it's only going one way. And I'm saying put a very small margin, 2 to 5% of your portfolio, of your net worth, into this new technology, and do it before even the hedge fund managers and Wall Street. I've just made a massive decision literally 2 days ago. I've had my money for about 7 years, my pension in St. James's Place. It's just under 400 grand, and they're doing okay. But I've made 500% looking after my own money in Hargreaves Lansdown on a very small amount that I can play around with in my own stocks and shares. Billy, a guy we know, he put some money into it and went up 120% in like a month. He's like, oh my God, what is this thing you've introduced me to? MSTR. However, I've just made a big decision to pull all my money out of St. James's Place and pump it into 2 stocks, Tesla, 20%, MSTR, 80%, and leave it until I'm 57, which is 17 years from now. You only get a tax relief or up to your pension of £1 million. Well, that 400 grand could be at £1 million within 2-3 years. I mean, there's a lovely slide which I'll send you, Rye, which shows you the amount of people on the planet who understand Bitcoin, which is like 1 out of this 100 block. And then the amount of people who understand MSTR is like 100 of Bitcoiners to 1 MSTR. It's the way that it's a money glitch, and it's unbelievable how he's done it. So if you're not going to buy Bitcoin, which I can't put my pension money into buying Bitcoin, the asset, but I can buy MSTR, whose strategy is super clear. Buy Bitcoin, increase in the shares go up, sell more equity, use other people's money to buy Bitcoin at a guaranteed price. So he takes debt at 0% for 7 years because he's a trading business. So he'll borrow £2 billion at 0% interest for 7 years. Companies will lend him that. God knows why. I haven't looked into why that is. But effectively, he's pitching on the fact that in 7 years' time, Bitcoin would have gone up so much more than the debt. He can basically sell more stock because the business has gone up, and he's just constantly revolving, churning this money. He will become the richest company in the world.
He does it because he's got their convertible bonds. So he's basically limited the downside for institutional investors to invest in MicroStrategy. He's limited the downside and given them the upside if it goes up.
Which actually, Will, I said to Will like 2 days ago, he wants to buy. He's getting married in 2026. He's like, but if I buy some Bitcoin, I can't risk the volatility. So I said, fine, I'll put 5 grand in for you. I own 5 grand. So I said, I'll put 5 grand in for you. if I'll guarantee you £5,000, but in 4 years' time, because it has to be 4 years for the noise. I'll guarantee your £5,000 will not go down, but I'll take half the upside. And he agreed to it. So he's that type of person who doesn't want the risk, doesn't want to lose money, even though in 5 years' time that £5,000's buying power will actually be worth probably 3.5, £4,000 of what you can buy in the future. I'll guarantee him his £5,000 in 4 years, but I'll take half the upside as the risk, and he agreed to it.
You're a bank, Stuart Wyeth.
I will become a bank. I'm doing the same glitch on a very micro
Bank
scale.
Stuart.
You're a massive
the
banker,
yield,
bank buyer, banker.
He's on the
Okay,
game.
Can I start with a controversial
Go on, mate.
question, just based on the first thing I heard? Just based on something I heard Jack say straight away, and I hear this a lot online from anti-landlord ismers, if that makes sense. And they always say, like, it's wrong, it's morally wrong for us to own property and for a tenant to pay our mortgage, and on the back of that, we're getting
I
wealthy
just say
off
you
the
go
debt.
do it.
What do you guys say to
well,
that?
I say change the money, change the world. Change the
I
money,
say-
change the world.
Give me a more holistic
I
answer.
got 3 answers for that. Number one,
Go on.
I wouldn't blame the landlords. I'd blame the system. You know, there's people out there that they're employed, but the problem is the system tells them they cannot buy the house. They have to have X% as a mortgage. They have to meet certain covenants to get a mortgage from lending institutions. Blah blah blah. And it's proven time and time again that just because you pay rent that is actually higher than what your mortgage would be doesn't mean that you can qualify for a mortgage, and you still need to put a deposit down. So the bottom line is, I truly believe that if which would then spark a housing bubble. That's why they don't do it. If there was a requirement, if the government really wanted people to do so, they would, make the deposit so minimal, or some form of scheme where they don't need to put a deposit in straight away, and the government owns whatever it is. But the problem is, that would spark an even harder housing bubble, and we're just not. So that's number one. Number two, we're just not building enough, so the prices are obviously high. But really, the economics of the country, like people, what they were earning in the 90s, they have more buying power really than what people have now. So it's and we're just not building enough. And three, it in today's world, for like millennials and Gen Zs and stuff, it is just, some people genuinely would prefer to rent than to own. So they have more flexibility. Like, if you owning is good, but if you need to leave, or if you want to move because you're trying to jump for this job that's come up, and you now need to like sell and move to Bath or move to Dubai or move whatever you need, just like, you have to sell a very expensive asset that, if you're in a bad cycle, you may not be able to, for some of the reasons set out. Does that make sense?
One of the retorts I've heard is, yeah, but the state
Yeah,
should
I've heard
provide.
that as well. Yeah.
The state should give me a house for free, and I should be able to own
I
it.
agree with that in
Would
some.
you-
I
Would
agree
you
with that
say,
in some
'cause
cases.
obviously fundamentally misunderstand.
Yeah, obviously Stu's on mute.
Just to quickly end on the money thing, I've got a video lined up, but go on,
Still
say your thing.
Still going.
Always, mate.
I was just going to say, like, similar to Dorian, essentially the way I'm proud to say all of our products is we are more affordable, better quality stock. So I think the argument should be the landlords that are exploiting the market space by purely solving the Maslow's hierarchy of needs of providing someone a home, because that is the obviously pivotal thing. So everyone needs somewhere to live. And when landlords take the piss and don't reinvest capital into the asset, or manage it well, or create a nice environment, and that's the issue in market spaces between the service and a necessity. I see our business as a service provider. Like, if you went and bought an apple from a greengrocers, that someone's gone into the hard-earned work to produce that apple, and they should be paid a premium to produce that product as a business. And that's why I see our business, that we should accrue a premium, or not a premium, a profit, to deliver the service that we're delivering. And our HMO rooms, for an example, are cheaper than if someone were to go and rent a 1-bedroom flat, and they're getting a way better product. Their actual their net area that they're renting is larger. It's most commonly been refurbished within the last 5 years, if not immediately, or better product, better service, better feeling, better life. It makes it easier for them to get onto the property ladder. So I'm always quite passionate about this, because people go around and be like, oh, 900 for a bedroom, that sounds expensive. And I go, well, try £1,300 for a 1-bedroom flat plus council tax plus bills. You're at £2,000, or 900 quid, up to you. which one sounds like a
Oh,
more
mate,
sustainable
couldn't agree
business
more.
model. Yeah, exactly.
Anyone
And
says that to me,
But
I'm
one,
like, how
one
many,
thing
how
I
many,
would,
how many
one
people
thing
are
I
you
would also
housing then?
say is one thing I would also say is anyone can go do it. There's like our first house. I would argue that anyone in the UK could do that deal. There's nothing special. You know, I didn't get given it.
Yeah.
I created it,
Mm.
and anyone in the UK can do that, or not even in the UK.
I agree. It's like there's philanthropy in what
Yeah.
we do. At the end of the day, people who can't afford, it's not our fault. It's not their fault. It's the system's fault, and you know the cards that they're dealt. But 100% of everything I've built, even the rooms. If I was a divorcee or a 23-year-old or you know a 50-year-old female woman on my own, I would feel safe, secure, and it's been designed for the best intentions for them to get the best quality of life. There's a price to pay, but I have to go to work. I have to earn money. I have to support my family. But by not doing what we do, the problem we get 10 times, 100 times worse. So I don't take, I just take it with a pinch of salt.
But also, we're I think the thing for those anyone who thinks anti-landlordism and the kind of question that I rose, that's they have a fundamentally flawed view and understanding of the world, the economy, capitalism, state intervention. They're just so misinformed, and one of the biggest reasons why is obviously the state can't provide everything, because then that requires who's paying for that? Really, the private sector's paying for that. So they then basically ask all working people to house everyone. That's what they're really asking for. When someone says, "I want the state to provide for me for free," it's not free. What it means is everyone who's a working person, all of those people are now footing that bill, whether it's now or in 5 or 10 years' time. They're actually footing that bill, and that's why it's fundamentally wrong to me. That's
Liz
morally
Truss
There's
said
a
last-
genuine need. There's a genuine
Do you know what I
need
mean?
in it
The
for
right
it,
thing
though,
to do is
for a
deregulate.
percentage, and there always will be for the.
Yes,
Liz
for
Truss
that
and Pete
percentage of
McCormick
the
last
bottom
night,
few,
they were
yeah,
saying
understood, yeah.
that museums. So in the UK, the V&A, it's all free for people to use, but it's not free. It's the people who don't go to museums. People saying, I actually quite like the fact that these museums are free because it brings people in. But she's like, when you go to other countries, you always pay to go to their museums, because when they come to the UK and you go around all this free stuff, it's all the people who don't go to museums that are paying for it. And they talked about kids. They said, well, it's the same fault with children. If I don't want children, why should I be paying towards the schools and the system if I choose not to have children? And it's like, well, children are a benefit to the country and the future of the country, and obviously we want people to have children, and we want it to be more rewarding and help those people. But it was quite interesting. I was going to show this last clip, then I'll shut up. I'm going to play it down the mic so you guys can hear it, and then hopefully Rye will edit it out. But let me just quickly play this. Present.
What, just while you're loading
Sure.
that, what about cyclists? Should they pay road tax or not? This is a big pivotal question for the UK. Cyclists and road tax. Because there's
We'll come back
potholes
to
in
that.
the road.
I'm ready. I'm playing this.
They use the road. Oh, I didn't realise you were loading the same video that you tried to
No, it's
load.
not. It's the same. I hope it's not the same one.
Mate, what are you trying to sync the audio with the? Oh my!
Yeah, very interesting.
I certainly think that the monetary policy and the whole monetary system needs to be re-examined and thought about. And the problem in Britain is it became a taboo subject. When I was at the Treasury and tried to ask about monetary policy, I was told it wasn't our responsibility. It was the responsibility of the Bank of England. And I said, well, the Chancellor's there to set the terms the Bank of England operates on. The Chancellor's the politician, not the Governor of the Bank of England. The Chancellor should have a view on monetary policy. And during the leadership campaign in 2022, where I flagged up all the policies I was going to pursue, I said that we should look again at the Bank of England's mandate. And again, I was accused of attacking the Bank of England's independence. So they weren't interested in what the actual monetary policy was. They were interested in my attack on the Bank of England's independence. And whenever an organisation justifies itself by saying it's independent, that, in my view, is a red flag that there is a problem. So all of this should be talked about. The international monetary system, the independence of central banks, the role of cryptocurrencies. I think all of those things, under the surface of what's gone wrong over the past 30 years, monetary policy is very important, but we haven't talked about it.
Can I tell you about a couple of things that I've experienced that I've gone the most peaceful revolution. Yeah, very interesting.
Anyway,
I'm
we missed the
amazed.
point. We missed the point about when we were talking
mate.
about it. But they have no control over the money system. and they're all about the defence of trying to look after the civil side, which is obviously the fucking establishment that are controlling everything from the laws, the police, the money system. We're all fucking, even the politicians are all puppets in their little game, and we're the ones that suffer the consequences of it in everything, in our businesses, in our livelihoods, in our way we spend.
What?
Get out of the
What is
fucking fiat currency system and buy digital capital and fuck them. Fuck them. That's why I believe in Bitcoin,
Well,
people.
Can I pose a bit of a game? Let me pose a game to all three of you, yeah, based on that sort of vibe that you've watched there, where we don't really have control of our government. That Liz Truss interview is really good, by the way. It basically proves we don't live in a democracy and we need to wake the fuck up. And that's what 2025 is going to be. But let's start the year, because this will come out in Jan still. I know we should have done it earlier, with some predictions, because then we can look back at the end of the year and see who was right on their predictions. So we're talking macro predictions, whether it's to hit property, tech, governance, whatever it is. Who's got a prediction that they think is maybe
let's do
a
average
bit
house
wildly
price increase
controversial, maybe
between
something
now and
that
December?
people
So what we
aren't
think the
quite thinking
annual
of.
price will go up or down or static. Let's do whether Keir Starmer's still in government or not. Even though we can't do anything to 2029, he's got a massive majority. I think the pressure this year is gonna squash him.
All right, so we've got house prices, Keir Starmer,
road tax
what
for
else?
cyclists. If that's
What about the
gonna come into
economy?
play.
So what was your
I wanted
question?
to talk about this, and you've
Go on,
just
mate.
done your normal thing, mate.
Base rate.
Bitcoin.
Go on, Jack.
We're steaming through, baby.
Go on, Jack. Do you think this year then? Jack, do you think this year they'll
Interest
bring in
rate?
road tax for cyclists? And how do you think
the
they'd
way
regulate
that you regulate
that if they
it
did
is
bring it
if
in?
they don't have the old paper stickers on the back of their bike, you can just steer into them. Especially if they're wearing lycra.
They've got no human rights. If they,
no, I'm only joking. Road taxing cyclists doesn't need to be part of it.
All right, we'll avoid that. It's so hard to regulate because
House price,
how'd you do
government,
that?
interest rate,
interest
right,
rates.
So house prices
standing December 2025.
Inflation.
Yeah, inflation. That's a good one. And how much the M2 money supply? How much money they're going to print this year? Because that is the only way that we're going to get out of this problem. And there's
Bitcoin price.
The Bitcoin price, absolutely great one. Yeah.
Bitcoin price. Yeah. Bitcoin price.
What?
Well done,
And
Dave.
then just something major,
Very
like just
Bitcoin
like a
of you.
major statement. It could be anything, just that you think that may happen.
Right, there's one.
All right, a major statement. Cool. All right, yeah.
Oh, one sentence. There's one sentence I need to read out here, which I was reading this thing, which is quite good. Other countries.
Let's start with, whilst you're doing that, Stu, then let's start with house prices. Where do we think the average house price right now, I think, is £292,000 in the UK. Where do we think that will be?
I think it's a 1.5% increase this year.
I think it's 2024. It was 293. Let's get an actual.
293. Bear with us, listeners. This will be
the
worth
question,
it.
right?
See if we're wrong.
Yeah.
The question. Just where you think house prices will be by the end of this year, average house price in the UK. They're around 290 to 300 grand.
I was reading this thing on the morningstar.co.uk. On the morningstar.co.uk, they were talking about the 30-year gilt and where it was at. Gilt. It says here, other countries have fiscal issues, but the UK is potentially at the cusp of another financial crisis without either one, intervention from the Bank of England, or two, government action to either raise tax or cut spending. Neither of these are attractive options when the economy is in stagnation. So that's the view of morningstar.co.uk, and it's a real good. I'll send it to you. Right, have a read of it. I was going to read more.
Can we watch the article with your phone doing the audio out of sync?
We can read it.
That's probably.
Yeah, no, you have to close your eyes, mate. The viewers won't see that. Putting up with it.
Yeah, it's 293 to August last year. So I'm guessing they released this data again in August. This is actually UK house pricing on the government website, so we can predict for August on house pricing.
Yeah, go on then. What do we think? Go around the room. Jack, what do you think first? House prices, average house price in the UK in
since
August
last year, I think we're going to see a very, very, very small, insignificant increase. But we have pre-August this year, we probably saw a lot of more stagnation than ever, or less growth, which is, you know, kind of the same result, because we're sort of always growing. I'm going to say a 3% increase.
3%. So if it's 293 there, you're saying it's going to be effectively
I
just
just had
just
some
push the
sneezes coming. I was trying to
300
mute.
grand mark.
I turned off my camera. Yes, 293 times 1.03. Yeah. Fucking hell.
I'm at 300 grand. It's 1.5%. So you must be at what, 315?
No, it's it'd be
30179. So let's call it 302 grand.
30179.
Round up, yeah.
You reckon 302? What do you reckon, D? Average house price?
Slightly
Count me
more
in.
often than
Count me in.
303.
Don't
All
lock me in.
right, so 302, 303.
Well, I was at 300, but I don't know
So-
if I should
What do you
change
reckon,
it to
Stu?
301 just to be slightly over
No,
the 300.
I'd stay at 300 if I were you.
300,
Well, that's-
300,
yeah.
300 and 500 pounds.
What you're right.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. It's only August as well. It's August, not that far away. I'm gonna go 298. 298. Yeah, it could go. It could be quite significantly higher. Depends what
It will
happens
lag.
with.
It will lag.
Well, all right. Let's bench that one then. We've got our predictions there. Let's see what was the next one. Interest rates. What do you reckon about interest rates this year? Do you think they're coming down? Do you think they're
I mean, in the next
stabilising?
12 months, we've got to see it come down.
What do you think's
There
gonna
were, predictions that we would be almost down to 3% by December from actual predictions.
Yeah.
So where are we going to peg it at? So we're currently at 4.75. And our estimation is, where is it going to be in December 2025? I think it's going to be at 4.
Yeah.
Flat, yeah.
Oh, you think 4? Ooh.
I'm
4,
worse
that's
than
not
that.
very bullish. Mad.
3.75.
All right, D, what do you reckon?
I'm getting such first mover
3.75.
disadvantage, aren't I?
Go on, let's do.
There's actually a really good game that I'd highly recommend to anyone that plays board games, called Wits and Wagers, and it's basically questions that come out that are either numerical or percentages. So the question might be, how many people in the UK are over 6 foot, and you have to guess a percentage of the population. And then once you've written it on your card, you can win a point for being the right answer, and you can't go over the figure. So it's sort of like the figure or above, if that makes sense. And then it goes down on a bet, like a poker table, and you can then bet on the range between the answers and win money off the back. It's a really good game.
Sounds like such a Henley game, that does, doesn't it?
That's
very Henley, yeah.
very Henley.
Proper-
Round the
proper-
fire.
I tell you what, Monty,
dining
that's a
room.
bloody good suggestion you have there. I'm going to double your bet on the 6 foot game. Anyway, it's a really good game. Back to so
Sounds
4
good.
for me, 3.7 for Dorian.
God, Stu.
I'm at 4.25. I'm even less bullish.
I'm getting locked in left, right, and
Yeah,
centre.
I think inflation's going to rise
Fuck.
again. It's going to peak up, and they're going to be between a rock and a hard place, and they're not going to be able to drop rates, even though they have to, because they're going to have to try and control inflation. So my bet is 4.25 by the end of this year, which is shit.
4.25.
Big.
I'll go
I hope
flat
you're
on
right.
3.
Oh,
Flat on
mate.
3.
Right. Cool. What's next?
I fucking hope I'm right as well. All right, what do you reckon about inflation then?
go
Inflation
last
by
on
the
this one.
end of the year,
You buggers.
where...
True inflation or the fucked up?
All right, I'll go first then. We'll go in reverse to what we just did. So inflation, I reckon, will be... I don't want to fucking,
CPI now, yeah?
jinx us. I reckon it's going to be... Yeah, CPI. So what will the last print of the year be, basically? So year to date,
2.3.
last print of the year. I'm going to go 3.5.
3.5.
2.3.
3.5. 3.5. Go on, Stu, you're next.
2.3.
3.3 from D.
2.3.
All right.
I'll go
2.3. Fucking hell.
3.3.
Yeah.
3.2.
3.3.
And the Bitcoin price. The
It's gonna
Bitcoin
be
price
tight,
by
It's going to be tight.
December. It's going to be difficult because it would have gone past the peak of this
Show
four-year
us,
cycle.
show
It'll be
us
on the way down.
show us your little digital box, please.
Would you want?
Oh, you can't. Your little digital box.
Oh, I sort of. Every time I move it, it cuts out, and literally it just went no Wi-Fi. Oh, it'll come back in. I'm going to get a
He's so
longer
upset.
cable so I can
He's
put it
so
behind
upset.
me, so I can just see. You can just see
That
the
hurts
four
him.
stocks.
Word
Every
has
week
it
you give
that
back.
Stuart's wife was, looking for Stuart the other day. She was like, "Where could he be?" And he was just sat in front watching it. Wait! This is a good bit. This is a good bit.
Looking
Wait!
at it.
Come and have a look.
Under the desk.
Just
Yeah,
flick round. You can change the speed of it. If it's, I can't
What's
believe
the
it's just gone the second I
What's
looked at it.
that animation they make on like when they take like real world events and they make like an animation about it and really like rip into it? You just picture then Stuart sat there like eyes all
This.
red, staring at it. And as soon as it drops,
Yeah.
you should buy the dip. Buy the dip.
5.2. Yesterday was the dip. 5.27 H bar. Great. Oh, we have to wait 50 seconds. I'll hold it there until Bitcoin comes up. So the Bitcoin price at the moment is about $92,000. I think it. I mean, it could literally. It's insane.
Dollars.
It could go up between. It's going to definitely hit. It's definitely going to hit.
You get
it could
one-
be between
one
250 and $1 million
One bet.
by the end of this year. That's how much money
Definitely.
is going to be printed.
You get one bet. Who's
Okay.
gonna
The
be
height.
closest?
Let's
That's
do the
what it is.
highest.
Who's
What do you reckon
closest?
Bitcoin price will be at the highest this year?
No, we're
'Cause
doing the
it could-
standings. Let's do two
Yeah, but
bets.
December the
Standing
what then?
starts December the 31st, end of the year.
What time?
The last,
It's probably
last
around
year of the
100,
year.
and it's probably
Stuart,
around
let me-
100 and.
Stuart, let me just explain something. As
180
soon
grand.
as soon as the 1st of January comes round, that will be 2026, which is next year. So what we're doing in this game is we're guessing
There we go.
the start of
94.
things in the
Bring
end
Monty
of
back.
2025.
Get Monty in the room.
Listen,
Yeah.
it's going to
So
go
the
up
rules of this
fucking
game-
high. It's going to come
the
down
rules of-
30%
the Henley
from
coming
high.
out.
I'm banker, so I have to read the rules of the game.
Yeah, I reckon it's going to be about 180,000. Yeah, no, that's what I was like.
Oh, Bitcoin's on the
2.21%.
thing.
94,000 it is. At the
Bitcoin's
moment.
on now.
And that's
Oh,
going to
nice.
go up to between 250 and $1 million.
All right.
Yeah,
And then you got to pick one
184,000.
number. We're all going
will
to
be
pick
the
a
price.
number. It's who's closest.
Yeah, dollars.
$184,000
Yep.
at the last day
I'm
of
going
this
to
year.
go
All right, Jack, what do you reckon?
144. Oh, actually, I might go a little bit more bullish than that and lower.
$4,000. All right.
Ooh, look. Well, how's that more bullish if you go lower?
As in
Bearish,
the
mate.
opposition of bullish, challenging bullish.
Bearish. Bullish and bearish.
Bearish.
Dovish and hawkish.
I'll say 144.
Bearish.
Jack only understands bullish and Turkeyish.
Yeah, exactly.
Go.
Oh yeah, right. You have to do a turkey.
Go on, Jay, what do you reckon?
Close out today.
Because it's quite funny, right? Isn't it? Because if we say, oh yeah, we predict
What
Bitcoin to
time
be
is?
at 250,000, and right now it's 94,000. What we're effectively saying that we genuinely think that it will rise over doubles, and then comes back down to the fact if you think that's the case, why are you not investing it unless you've got any other investments currently on the table that, in terms of your return on capital, will beat that return. So yeah. So from my perspective, I think there's two things. Obviously, if the US do genuinely stick to what they say and adopt a more, I think obviously it will rise. But if they don't, and something like a black swan happens, then I think that it could stagnate a bit for a year. It depends, because you know how these things are. So I think it hinges on that. But with Trump and everything at the minute, it's more than likely that they will. So I wouldn't be surprised whether there is some form of bullish run post that, and it could probably double to 200,000. And then if it doesn't, I reckon it would end the year lower than what it is now.
Cool.
Lower. Okay, so you reckon 200k? Is that your guess?
Flip a coin.
You get one, mate. You get one.
Well, I do
flip a
think
Bitcoin.
with Trump, I think they're going to go down that route down here at the minute. So 200,000.
200. All right, so 200. I'm just going to go
Big.
higher. I'm going to go 250 and see if I'm there. $250,000 by the last day of this year, and yes, same reason as Dorian. I think the US is going to lead the charge, and that's going to be catalytic for a lot of other nation states and institutions to do the same, because it will back the dollar, and then people go, right, let's go there with our money. So
Uh,
cool.
is
All right, what was the next one? We had another one there, didn't we? Oh yeah, wild predictions.
Like do we tax cyclists? Is
Wild predictions for this
Mondays.com
year.
going to be called Mondays.com or Monday.com?
You have to
Is
watch it
Keir
that way.
Starmer going to still be in office?
Wild predictions. Oh, Keir Starmer. Actually, let's do Keir Starmer. Will Keir Starmer? And I said this last year on the podcast as well. I don't reckon he'll make out 2025. So my clear prediction is he'll be gone. I reckon we might see a general election by
I
the
don't
summer.
think we'll see a
That's
general
my
I think the
election.
King's going to dissolve
Right
Parliament.
there. I don't.
No,
don't know if they'll
re-elect.
break that
Good
tradition.
new general
They've been
election. It'll
they've been
just
silent,
dissolve it and
haven't
go,
they,
you
for
fucked
100
up, mate.
years.
Time to move on.
Yeah, he might.
I
Possibly.
don't
D,
reckon
what do you
there'll be a
reckon?
general
What do you
election.
reckon's happened to Starmer?
But as we're recording this, obviously there is severe pressure for him to resign. So I could imagine. I think by the end of this year, I think he will be gone, but there won't be a general election. It'll still be Labour.
Okay.
I think there's going to be civil unrest this year.
It feels like that's brewing. I don't,
Civil unrest
coming. Not that I want it to
especially with
happen.
influence from like Elon, because his power with his influence, it is like it shouldn't be underestimated. It is massive. It is
huge.
massive. Yeah.
And it all depends on what Trump does. How involved is Trump going to get with
Big,
the
big,
fucking
big,
UK politics? It's just madness. What do you want to buy us? To buy us a 53rd
That's why I
state before we
think
know it?
that's
It
why
is
I think more than likely that Keir Starmer will leave more like, because when Trump comes in, you can see how aggressive he's already being, and they've kind of already made it clear they do not like him. So how can we need a good relationship really?
Mm. But just for anyone listening out there, though, Starmer started it by sending a load of Labour MPs over to America to rally with the Democratic Party, and then they basically tried international influence in another country's politics, and then they're trying to blame now Elon for doing the same. So it's like, what I mean, it kind of neutralizes in terms from a moral standpoint, and it's basically who wins. But
What do you
Labour
think
did
about,
start this fight.
Elon
with Trump,
saying
so,
that
and
Farage
they
needs to
called him
step down
racist
on
and all that
reform.
shit.
He's just not strong enough. He just won't have the... Because whoever takes it on, this is again what Liz Truss was saying. Highly recommend watching the full pod. But she was saying that you need someone who's going to be in potentially reform, but she didn't. She only mentioned reform once. But she said you need someone who's going to fight everyone at every dinner party they go to for every single civil job, and just basically like ignore everyone and make the change they stand for. And it's a real tough gig. And we're 20 times worse in the UK than it is in America in terms of the establishment.
I think Farage. I think Elon's wrong with Farage. I think what Elon did is he's a technician, and he looked at Farage, probably thought he's a good guy and all that stuff, but just went, he's not got what's technically required to do what you need to do to government. Rather than look at the man and go, for the last 15 to 20 years, he's been thoroughly consistent on all of his views. He's never wavered, and he's a thought leader, and he's always been that way. Yeah, he's a bit of a buffoon in some ways. I would say that, but I just want someone who can take politics and
politician
give it to me in
that's
plain
not a
English.
buffoon,
And that's what
that couldn't
Nigel
be
Farage
described
was.
as a buffoon. You got Trump, Boris Johnson
As well,
I
yeah.
suppose Rishi's not buffoon.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
buffoony a little bit.
Yeah.
So your estimation,
He's
Stuart,
not, yeah, but he's
is
a bit of a melt, though, isn't
civil
he?
unrest.
I think that's what's going to trigger the fact of a new parliament. Yeah, sometime in around June to August. It's just going to be unbearable. The prices are going to continue to go up. People aren't going to stand for it, and they're going to demand change. It's boiling now. If you just watch some of the podcasts off the media, off of the BBC, and just watch behind the doors, it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
I can't not listen to it.
What about you then, Jack? What do you reckon?
I was actually going to make a
Starmer,
different
government.
prediction that's not related to politics.
Go on, give us your view on Starmer though, quick, just so we've got a round of the table. What do you reckon? He'll be in or out?
Unfortunately, I think he'll be still in, and just causing a bit of havoc.
Okay. All right,
So I'm going to
interesting. Go on,
predict
what's your
that
wild
by
prediction?
December 31st, 2025,
End of the year.
there will be 1,000 people in the Ground Up network.
What
Minimum.
a good one.
Ooh.
Yeah. And
Links in the
limited
description.
spaces. So yeah, that's my prediction.
Nice. All right, we'll take that. Bit of self-promo as well.
I'm
What
going
about
to
you,
go
D?
more
What's your
down
wild
the.
prediction?
I think this year we're going to see another shift again in the artificial intelligence space, where I think that what I'm really interested about at the minute is, obviously from the short stuff I've seen, is I think it'll take another big step forward this year with the integration of like AI agents coming into the workforce. I think that probably could happen actually from what I've seen in 2025 by the end of the year. And I think if it does happen, I think it could be quite quick in terms of how it changes jobs and tasks in the workspace. Like we all know and have seen how powerful ChatGPT is at the minute. If that gets harnessed correctly as a digital agent correctly in a workflow internally, I think it could be actually quite game changing. So that's my prediction that it's going to come from, or at least phase one anyway.
Yeah, I'll tether off the back of that then, because mine was going to be focused around technology in a similar vein. Agents definitely are going to be a wake up call this year. What I think is actually going to happen is the progress we're going to see in technology this year. I think that progress is finally going to wake up the public, and I think the public are going to realize, oh shit, AI is now can do any mental and knowledge driven task, like any knowledge driven task. Now there's agents that you can instruct to do things for you online, and now there's all these robots getting built en masse around the world. Tesla's predicted to release 1 million by the end of the year alone, and I think the public's going to go, what the fuck's happening? What's happening to our job security? What's happening to our economy? What's happening for my kids' future? What's happening for schools? And I think by the end of the year, we're going to see a sentiment shift, and you're going to have the people, like we've talked about all these other things like monetary policy, other things that are big issues that people should be aware of, but they're not so aware of until they start affecting their daily lives. And I think technology this year is going to basically be a big beaming neon sign that goes, we're coming for the world, and the world's going to change. And I think general people are going to start putting pressure on politicians, putting pressure on the private sector to go, whoa, hang on a sec. Like, am I going to have a job next year? How are my kids going to survive? They're going to start asking these questions, and then the government's going to respond with, okay, now we need UBI. And people need to have money somehow, and I think we're going to start to see a big shift in how the world.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I think
works.
anybody listening to this, I'm definitely convinced this is only going one way. I don't think there's going to be some things that are going to be coming in as fast as we think, just because of our current leadership and our current establishment. Like certain things, like for example, the technology is already there for fully autonomous driving, but you can't do it in the UK because the laws prohibit it. So until that changes, it just can't get rolled out as fast as some things in America that already are. And it'll be the same on other aspects of technologies as well, which will be, for example, DeepMind already created something that could to enhance biomed through AI, to try to, if anyone's watched that film, I think it's called Elysium, where they lie down on that machine and it scans them and it works out through their body. So obviously DeepMind years ago started the process of mapping through AI, the body basically down to carbon level, and but it got pulled from because of the backlash because it connected to Google for data harvesting. So the kind of regulations wouldn't allow that technology to progress in actual live medical environment. So I think like the technology is actually there and improving, and it's not coming back. It's only going one way. The only barrier I actually think at the minute is regulation, which it could be right, it could be wrong. I don't actually know that answer. So I just think from anyone listening, you can't really hide away from the fact that gotta just like it's coming. Got to see how it's going to change things.
There's so much legislation I got to change. Go on, mate.
Yeah. All right, Stu. Did you have a big prediction? Did you say one already?
Yeah. A bit like the looting thing we
civil
saw,
unrest
but
off
a
the
bit
back
more
of the
aggressive.
politics. Yeah, okay. Civil unrest.
Unfortunately, not that I want it to happen at all or
aggressive.
condemn it, but I just
right,
think it's coming.
take
I
that.
just think it's inevitable. We need change, and the British, the way the Brits like to deal with things sometimes can get a bit crazy. But again, no one listens, and it's the people, unfortunately, at the other end of the spectrum who are getting hurt the most are the ones that will shout the loudest. I think that's almost certainly coming. Just before I forget, because I've got it on my page, but I keep. We're all going to the National Development Summit. So shout out to Brendan. I said I'd silicate on this next podcast. It's on the 8th of February at the Marriott Hotel in Heathrow. I think Jack's chairing it. D, you're on a panel, aren't you? You're on the panel?
I'm one of the. I've got a presentation slot. I think. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah,
so
honestly,
please
for
do
the
presentation.
cost of the ticket, that event is banging. It's a really good event. There's some really good
And
people.
Rye, you coming as well, are you?
Yeah, I'll give it a go, mate. Yeah, I don't know how to yet. I've not looked at
We'll
how you
speak to,
come yet, but I'll.
I
look.
don't
Yeah,
know.
What's
We're in-
tickets?
How much? 80.
Like £8, yeah. Honestly, it's
An all-day event. All-day event.
80, yeah.
Drinking
it?
and
8?
reception at the end. But we're all going. So if any of our listeners want to come and meet us and have a chat, and yeah, we'll be there. I think all 4 of us will be there. So yeah, come along. It's only at Heathrow. Quite straightforward to get to. But yeah, Jack's chairing the day. So I'm on the panel. So
After a few drinks, we could just all hop on a flight as well from Heathrow straight to Barbados.
We've got your skiing trip coming up, D.
Actually, Barbados, but too far. From there, to be honest.
Got D skiing trip coming up as well in March. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Why you're doing that, aren't you? Jack, you're not coming to that.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Jack's
I
just-
didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm. Me and Monty are actually going to Chamonix.
But while you're doing the skiing, so yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Next
man.
year
I
we're
mean,
doing the ground up.
Ryan's
so-
dressed for it now. Ryan's just
nice.
just come
Yeah,
out
yeah.
of an off-piste bar.
So where was you this morning, right? Where was you, mate? Did you have-
Fucking go. Let's go. Oh, mate. I've just had like one of those weeks. Like, so on Monday morning, I went back to the Northeast. Then, like, obviously the year's starting, new hires starting, got to film a load of shit, do a load of stuff. So I was frantic for Monday afternoon, Tuesday, but I had to come back down Wednesday morning after construction meeting because it's Honor's birthday on Wednesday. And then there was a thing yesterday, but I also needed to work yesterday.
wow.
And then today I'm taking her to Bath. So my week's just like not being consistent, and we're going to Bath like later on. And I just forgot to change my alarm this morning to the earlier time for ground up. And I saw your messages whilst I was lying in bed, and then I just went, oh shit, yeah, fuck, they're on the pod. I was like, oh, how's that happened? I've got my equipment with me and everything. So yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about that, listeners.
Yeah, we
as
went
well.
a bit. I mean, you'll watch it
tardy
back and
behaviour.
cringe because we were definitely a ship without our captain because we had turkey impressions and yeah.
Without moderator.
Yeah, it was.
Stuart did the introduction, which I actually thought was really good.
Yeah, he started off.
Yeah.
Go on, Stu.
Can you guys hear me? Because I think I've just lost my mic.
Oh God!
Yeah.
God.
Have I gone
I sound
dodgy?
like you're
Fucking hell.
the evening entertainment
Yeah,
on a
you've gone
cruise
dodgy.
is coming on.
I tell you what, actually, Jack, you'd probably make a good entertainment manager on a cruise ship, wouldn't you? Eh? I can imagine.
Yeah.
That coming on.
I'm just a few tattoos and a short sleeve shirt away from it. I think
No,
we could be a duo, me and Stu, the brothers.
Joe, I was just about to say something and I realised we were on record, so it would have been a great joke. We would have all laughed, but never mind.
Save it for after. I mean, share
Don't
it
worry,
with
we'll
the
laugh
world,
metaphorically,
Dorian.
mate.
No, definitely not. Not today's world, Jack.
Did you guys touch on at all
Yes,
the
mate.
first
We
call
did,
we had
we
in the
did, yeah.
network from the other day?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that was a great call. And then the next one is
Mondays.
so-
Mondays.
Yeah, Monday and Wednesday.
Every Mondays and every
Wednesdays.
Wednesdays. Yeah.
The next one's Wednesday, isn't it? Right.
Mondays.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, next Wednesday. But for the listeners there, that won't be relevant to them. But just if you check in, it'll be every Monday or Wednesday. So if you check in on the actual, when you go to Ground Up Network, you'll see it on the calendar section. It will say when the next one's coming up and stuff. Just because this will get released after.
And then
next
Wednesday,
next meeting.
But yeah,
Wednesday
sweetness.
evenings, I think 7:30 to 9:30, we'll do a deal analyze, so we can actually sit down and go through people who want to bring deals to the table, talk about it, get our input, see what we look for, what we don't look for. I think that'd be really good. So
that's
we'll
cool.
start that.
Cool.
Naughty.
Yeah, right. That was me thinking this morning, mate. That you
Naughty.
were
All right, well, yeah, I
out
think
the fridge
that's,
again, and just we're back pounding your ear, mate.
Yeah, well, he chucked you right under the bus, man, in the
No,
intro.
I was-
Like, the first thing he opened up with is that Ryan's pounding his ear. He's eating some dodgy stuff from the fridge. He smoked some wacky stuff. I was thinking, what?
He might have done.
10
You
seconds.
had saying
isn't it?
Wacky backy. Hey, you never know, mate. You never know. But no, I didn't. I just it was quite passive this morning. Just completely forgot.
I was going to say, I need to go to work,
got
boys,
to do
so I
so.
don't want to close it out. But what we done, an
Yeah,
hour and
that's why I
33?
just had to let the dog out
was
for a
gonna say.
wee. He was nagging.
Yeah.
Breaking his neck
Yeah,
for a
no
wee.
dramas.
Go on, Rye, close us out, mate.
Nagging.
Did
All right,
you
yeah, well,
guys-
Stuart.
Yeah, come on.
Now, Stuart, look, you
Come on,
brought us
Stuart,
into this.
close us
episode,
out
mate.
like
You
Luke
take us
Littler.
on.
Finish with a double.
Oh, you done well, didn't he? Fair play to him. Yeah, well, thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate the listens. Remember to subscribe, like, follow, Instagram, YouTube. Please share with someone you know or someone that you think would benefit from listening to us lot ramble on for an hour and a half a week. Really appreciate some of the followers. We're getting some shares and stories from people watching it and enjoying it when they're going for walks, doing runs and gyms and stuff. So, yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. And yeah, thanks again.
I'm just going to say, I've got
Big
a question
love.
for next episode for you guys to look forward to the next episode.
Go on, then, what's the next one?
Oh, here we go.
I was with my cousin yesterday who works in construction, and he said he would like us to do a bit on the sort of average Joe, in a 9 to 5, average job with kids. How could they start their journey incrementally to get into property business or whatever it may be? So next episode, we'll go around the table and get everyone's views to sort of take baby steps to get into business and property, and probably Stuart will start talking about crypto. Is almost guaranteed.
Just by £10 a month.
There we go. Car phone warehouse.
Right, I really got to go to work now, guys.
Quick.
You know what I think we should, just really before it goes out, you know what I think we should do if we do all make it.
Call my next meeting, shall I?
Is I think call you next. It's probabably just to sit in front of your Bitcoin
about
clock.
saying.
Tell me you'll be late.
What I think we should do if we do all make a success is buy Stuart a retail shop so that he can stand in that and talk to people on the high street, maybe Regent Street in London, about Bitcoin.
Well, I tell you what will get you good views on social media. So if you want to build a channel, is do what Simon Scribb does and get a backpack on with a microphone and go around the town.
What's your
centre.
dream?
Ask What's
your Bitcoin dream?
Yeah.
Look, the other thing, right, on the back side of that is that I'm actually creating a digital impression of what I'm saying and when about Bitcoin, so I could build my own timeline of what I believed at the time when no one believed it, and then as everyone adopts towards Bitcoin, I'll be able to go through all these videos and timestamp.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, you see some of them from people like 10 years ago. Then he's just saying, just buy £100 worth of this, and yeah. But okay,
Time will tell.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, still upload a video. Do what Mr. Beast did and upload a video to your YouTube channel today, scheduled for 10 years' time, and you make a wild prediction. And then it's going to get released in 10 years no matter what.
Cheers, guys.
But,
See
all
you
right,
next week.
Cool, sweet. Big love, guys. See you next week.
Roundup sound. Ooh, yeah. Real estate deals. We lay